Monsters, murder, mayhem. The world of gothic horror and pulp fiction comes to life every week on Wednesday's Weird Stories. Good evening and welcome to Wednesday's Weird Stories. This is your weekly home for all of those things spooky, gothic horror, pulp fiction related, and all of that good jazz. Tonight we have an excellent tale in a little bit different style. It's written in kind of a journalist or journal-ish, not journalist, journal-ish style. It's called Diary of a Madman by Guy de Maupassant. This is really a cool tale, and it's one of those things where the idea of it is kind of an age-old thing to where, you know, the normal person that maybe is well revered in society in that turns out to be a little bit different than what you might have originally thought, and might not be quite the good guy that you thought he was. Now, Guy de Maupassant, in looking through his life in that, was really someone that was kind of destined to be a writer. From an early age, his mom was a very prolific reader and would read to him, you know, not necessarily just like children's tales or things like that, but I mean, she was getting him into, you know, classic literature and Shakespeare and all of that stuff, you know, at a very early age, and trying to make sure that he got as educated as he could, and, you know, and really into critical thinking as well. At a pretty young age, first school she got him into at around 13. She put him into like this boarding school, and his critical thinking and very personal style of thinking got him in trouble. Apparently he was a pretty harsh critic of organized religion, and when they put him into this very religious boarding school, he didn't like that, spoke out quite a bit, and ended up getting himself kicked out. So they found another school for him, and it was actually more of kind of like a theater and arts-based school, and it really, that was where he took off. And this is one of those things where I really feel like, in general, you need to be able to recognize where people are going to thrive and succeed, and not try to pigeonhole everyone. Had he been kind of just stuffed into, you know, these continuous boarding schools with very rigid thinking, and, you know, he might not have succeeded as much as he did, and might not have been as well recognized or as prolific a writer as he was. But it was recognized early on that he had this gift. After the first school didn't work out, they found him a school that was really going to work out hopefully well for him, and he just kind of thrived from there. Prolific short story writer, and is more of a realist in his storytelling, as opposed to some of the other authors that we've worked with, really bring in a lot of the fantastic elements and maybe science fiction or supernatural stuff. Guy de Maupassant was really looking at the horrors of everyday society, and the realism that, you know, you don't necessarily need to bring in all of these fantastical things in order to make people scared and have these freaky kind of short stories and stories in general. So, really looking forward to, again, reading a whole lot more of his stuff. He had just a really cool writing style. There was a much longer version of tonight's story that I was looking through as well. But again, because of our time constraints, and, you know, I had the option of this short story that is going to run about, you know, 15-20 minutes, or the 59-page version, which we'd probably be here all night getting through that one. I'm still working through that one, and I think that would be a cool story to do, maybe on a longer version or as a multi-part thing. But for tonight, we've got the original version of Diary of a Madman, and that's what we're going to be working through tonight. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this. This is Guy de Maupassant, Diary of a Madman, on Wednesday's Stories. And I'm going to preface tonight's story by warning you all that Grace is feeling very affectionate and very chatty tonight. So she may be showing up on the recording more than usual via scratches, purring, meowing, and possibly even biting me, because we're already going down that road. So, Grace, let's be good tonight, okay? Let's chill. Breathe. All right, folks, here we go. Diary of a Madman by Guy de Maupassant. He was dead, the head of a high tribunal, the upright magistrate whose irreproachable life was a proverb in all the courts of France. Advocates, young counselors, judges had greeted him at sight of his large, thin, pale face, lighted up by two sparkling, deep-set eyes, bowing low in token of respect. He had passed his life in pursuing crime and in protecting the weak. Swindlers and murderers had no more redoubtable enemy, for he seemed to read the most secret thoughts of their minds. He was dead now, at the age of 82, honored by the homage and followed by the regrets of a whole people. Soldiers in red trousers had escorted him to the tomb, and men in white cravats had spoken words and shed tears that seemed to be sincere beside his grave. But here is a strange paper found by the dismayed notary in the desk where he had kept the records of great criminals. It was entitled, Why? 20th June, 1851. I have just left court. I have condemned Blondel to death. Now why did this man kill his 5 children? Frequently one meets with people to whom the destruction of life is a pleasure. Yes, it should be a pleasure, the greatest of all, perhaps. Is not killing the next thing to creating? To make and to destroy. These 2 words contain the history of the universe. All the history of worlds, all that is. All. Why is it not intoxicating to kill? 25th June. To think that a being is there who lives, who walks, who runs. A being. What is a being? That animated thing that bears in it the principle of motion and a will ruling that motion? It is attached to nothing, this thing. Its feet do not belong to the ground. It is a grain of life that moves on the earth. In this grain of life, coming I know not whence, one can destroy at one's will. Then nothing more. It perishes. It is finished. 26th June. Why then is it a crime to kill? Yes, why? On the contrary, it is a law of nature. The mission of every being is to kill. He kills to live, and he kills to kill. The beast kills without ceasing, all day, every instant of his existence. Man kills without ceasing, to nourish himself. But since he needs, besides, to kill for pleasure, he's invented hunting. The child kills the insects he finds, the little birds, all the little animals that come in his way. But this does not suffice for the irresistible need to massacre that is in us. It is not enough to kill beasts. We must kill man, too. Long ago, this need was satisfied by human sacrifices. Now the requirements of social life have made murder a crime. We condemn and punish the assassin. But as we cannot live without yielding to this natural and imperious instinct of death, we relieve ourselves from time to time by wars. Then a whole nation slaughters another nation. It is a feast of blood, a feast that maddens armies and intoxicates civilians, women, children, who read by lamplight at night the feverish story of massacre. One might suppose that those destined to accomplish these butcheries of men would be despised. No, they are lovers. They are clad in gold and resplendent garments. They wear plumes on their heads and ornament their breasts. And they are given crosses, rewards, titles of every kind. They are proud, respected, loved by women, cheered by the crowd, solely because their mission is to shed human blood. They drag through the streets their instruments of death, that the passer-by, clad in black, looks on with envy. For to kill is the great law set by nature in the heart of existence. There is nothing more beautiful and honorable than killing. 30th June. To kill is the law, because nature loves eternal youth. She seems to cry in all her unconscious acts, "Quick, quick, quick!" The more she destroys, the more she renews herself. 2nd July. A human being. What is a human being? Through thought, it is a reflection of all that is. Through memory and science, it is an abridged edition of the universe whose history it represents. A mirror of things and of nations. Each human being becomes a microcosm in the macrocosm. 3rd July. It must be a pleasure, unique and full of zest, to kill. To have there before one the living, thinking being, to make therein a little hole, nothing but a little hole, to see that red thing flow which is the blood, which makes life, and to have before one only a heap of limp flesh, cold, inert, void of thought. 5th August. I, who have passed my life in judging, condemning, killing by the spoken word, killing by the guillotine those who have killed by the knife, if I should do as all the assassins have done, whom I have smitten, who would know it? 10th August. Who would ever know? Who would ever suspect me? Me especially, if I should choose a being I had no interest in doing away with. 15th August. The temptation has come to me. It pervades my whole being. My hands tremble with the desire to kill. 22nd August. I could resist no longer. I killed a little creature as an experiment for a beginning. Jean, my servant, had a goldfinch in a cage hung in the office window. I sent him on an errand, and I took the little bird in my hand where I felt its heart beat. It was warm. I went to my room. From time to time I squeezed it tighter. Its heart beat faster. This was atrocious and delicious. I was near choking it, but I could not see the blood. Then I took scissors, short nail scissors, and I cut its throat with 3 slits, quite gently. It opened its bill. It struggled to escape me, but I held it. Oh, I held it. I could have held a mad dog, and I saw the blood trickle. And then I did as assassins do, real ones. I washed the scissors. I washed my hands. I sprinkled water and took the body, the corpse, to the garden to hide it. I buried it under a strawberry plant. It will never be found. Every day I shall eat a strawberry from that plant. How one can enjoy life when one knows how. My servant cried. He thought his bird had flown. How could he suspect me? Ha, ha! 25th August. I must kill a man. I must. 30th August. It is done. But what a little thing. I had gone for a walk in the forest of Vernet. I was thinking of nothing, literally nothing. A child was in the road, a little child eating a slice of bread and butter. He stops to see me pass and says, "Good day, Mr. President." And the thought enters my head, shall I kill him? I answer, "You are alone, my boy?" "Yes, sir." "All alone in the wood?" "Yes, sir." The wish to kill him intoxicated me like wine. I approached him quite softly, persuaded that he was going to run away. And suddenly I seized him by the throat. He looked at me with terror in his eyes, such eyes. He held my wrists in his little hands, and his body writhed like a feather over the fire. Then he moved no more. I threw the body in the ditch and some weeds on top of it. I returned home and dined well. What a little thing it was. In the evening I was very gay, light, rejuvenated. I passed the evening at the prefect's. They found me witty, but I have not seen blood. I am tranquil. 31st August. The body has been discovered. They're hunting for the assassin. Ah! 1st September. 2 tramps have been arrested. Proofs are lacking. 2nd September. The parents have been to see me. They wept. Ah! 6th October. Nothing has been discovered. Some strolling vagabond must have done the deed. If I had seen the blood flow, it seems to me I should be tranquil now. The desire to kill is in my blood. It's like the passion of a youth at 20. 20th October. Yet another. I was walking by the river at breakfast, and I saw under a willow a fisherman asleep. It was noon. A spade was standing in a potato field nearby, as if expressly for me. I took it. I returned. I raised it like a club, and with one blow of the edge I cleft the fisherman's head. Oh, he bled, this rose-colored blood. It flowed into the water quite gently, and I went away with a grave step. If I had been seen, I should have made an excellent assassin. 25th October. The affair of the fisherman makes great stir. His nephew, who fished with him, is charged with the murder. 26th October. The examining magistrate affirms that the nephew is guilty. Everybody in town believes. Ha ha! 27th October. The nephew makes a very poor witness. He had gone to the village to buy bread and cheese, he declared. He swore that his uncle had been killed in his absence. Who would believe him? 28th October. The nephew has all but confessed. They have badgered him so. Ah, ha, justice! 15th November. There are overwhelming proofs against the nephew, who was his uncle's heir. I shall preside at the sessions. 25th January. To death! To death! To death! I have condemned him to death. Ha ha! The advocate general spoke like an angel. Ha ha! Yet another, I shall go to see him executed. 10th March. It is done. They guillotined him this morning. He died very well. Very well. That gave me pleasure. How fine it is to see a man's head cut off. Now I shall wait. I can wait. It would take such a little thing to let myself be caught. The manuscript contained yet other pages, but without relating any new crime. Alienist physicians, to whom the awful story has been submitted, declare that there are in the world many undiscovered madmen as adroit and as much to be feared as this monstrous lunatic. So, there we go. This upstanding judge who was the pillar of the community turns out to be a serial killer. And it was also loosely adapted into a movie starring Vincent Price in the 60s, I believe. And it's one of those things where, the realism of this, while this wasn't necessarily based on any sort of actual historical tale or anything like that, the simple fact that it has happened time and time again where, somebody's going through a loved one's papers or, searching through somebody's desk after somebody prominent has passed away, and they find these confessions of all the horrible, horrible things that they've done, that this stuff happens. The really nice guy down the street turns out to be the child molester, or, a favorite delivery guy ends up being a mass murderer. The crazy things that happen out there, sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. So that's our craziness for you this evening. I hope you've enjoyed that. It was a fun tale for me as well. And again, I'm hoping to get into more stories by Guy de Maupassant. And again, if you have any stories that you would like to submit, please hit me up on the Facebook page at Rock Soul Radio, facebook.com/rocksoulradio. You can email me directly at rocksoulradio@live.com. And definitely check me out on the Podbean page for the archives, where you can find all of the stories that we've done so far. We've got 13 of them up in the archives so far. Give it a like. Follow the feed there so that you can stay up to date and find out all about the tales as they are brought to you. Good stuff, right? I thought so too. Now, next week we have an original tale. Let me get my grammar correct there. By a new upcoming artist, Beck Williams, called The Hanging Tree. This is a youth author that was an original piece put together for their speech program. And I really liked the story, so I asked if they would read it. And so we're going to be working on that this weekend, trying to get that recorded. That one's not going to be a live one, but it'll be as close as we can, because we'll try to make it seem as live as it can be. And don't forget as well, every Monday here on Rock Soul Radio, we also do New Music Monday, where we feature a brand new artist or brand new music that I'm finding from a local Chicago independent artist. Coming up this Monday the 19th, we have Luna, and that's going to be good stuff. Luna Gala. So check out that at 9 o'clock in the morning, noon, and 3 o'clock. We play a track from that featured artist and give you a little sampling of some new stuff that's coming out in the Chicago world. So there you go. New Music Mondays, Wednesdays Weird Stories, and phenomenal music, local, independent Chicago artists all day long throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month, for the past 4 years. Awesome stuff. All right, that's it for this evening. Let's send you back to the regularly scheduled programming, and thank you very much for tuning in to Wednesday's Weird Stories here on Rocked Soul Radio. Thank you for tuning in to Wednesday's Weird Stories. Join me each week for a new tale from your favorite Gothic authors, and catch up on missed episodes in the archive at podcast.rockedsoulradio.com.